There are many different ways of cooking a steak. One of my preferred methods is using a cast iron pan and the oven, along with what I like to call the magic rule of 3. How this rule works is you do 3 minutes of preheating, 30-second direct contact sear, and 3 minutes on each side finished in the oven. Easy as that. It's really easy to remember, magic rule of 3, and it's a tried and true process for me. So today we're going to be searing a ribeye steak because beef is what's big here in Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas and we love our beef. This is cow country. I also just personally love the ribeye because it has a nice marbleization throughout. The fat distributed just creates a wonderful tender cut of meat with lots of flavor. I like to season my ribeye with a dry rub. It's a combination of salt, pepper, garlic powder, paprika, and oregano. Very southern, southwest style, and creates a nice dry crust on the outside. So first of all, we do want to make sure that we have a room temperature cut of meat. So it's been sitting here out of the fridge for about 5 minutes. Then you want to make sure that your meat is patted dry. So you want to remove all of the excess on both sides by blotting it. Put it in our little trash bowl here. And then you take the seasoning. This isn't heavy salt, so I am pretty generous about how I season and coat the meat. So I just want to make sure there's nice season on top and on the other side, getting all of the little nooks and crannies and crevices, and even on the little edges here because it is a thick cut of meat. I want to say that I generally get about a 16-ounce give or take, usually a little bit more give, and it's about an inch and a half thick, so nice thick cut of meat there. All right, I'm going to wash my hands because we don't want to cross-contaminate. I've seen this done on TV, and good sanitation. Alright, so wash and dry our hands. And as I said, with the magic rule of 3, you start off with a preheated pan. It's been heating for at least 3 minutes. So I'm going to take the meat and my tongs. It's been preheating at high heat. High heat on a stovetop burner is about 375 degrees. So we'll take our meat and we're going to start searing it on one side. Next rule, 30 seconds. So we'll drop that in. Now some people do like to add some oil, whether it's for flavor or to just kind of maintain the temperature. I don't care for it because I like a drier crust on my meat, but if you were to add a fat or an oil into your pan, I would recommend a high temperature fat like vegetable oil. But we'll let that sear on one side for 30 seconds. I don't have a timer, so I'm winging it. But one good gauge if you don't have a timer is as the meat starts to move easily. So as you can see, it's pretty much almost there. It's sticking a little bit, but with the cast iron, it kind of tells you when the meat is ready to be flipped. So about a couple more seconds and we'll check on it. There we go. There's that nice crust. So 30 more seconds on that side. And what you could be doing while this is all going on is trying to strategize what your sides are going to be. Because while it's cooking in the oven, you'll have time to throw together a little something, something. I'm going to be putting together a loaded baked potato. So my potatoes are already cooked, and I'll be putting that together as it finishes in the oven. But we'll let that sear a couple more seconds. So I've been letting it brown on each side. Again, 30 seconds on one, 30 seconds on the other. And it doesn't hurt to get a nice sear on the perimeter because this is a big, thick cut of meat. That searing process, especially on the edges, just locks in all of the juices, locks in the flavor, and just really absorbs the seasoning into the meat. So I'm just getting those edges there. 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. going to cut the heat. Ooh, that's hot. Put on gloves. Fire hazard. So we're going to cut off the heat. This is real TV. This is live action footage here. Cut off the heat on your stove, and then we're going to take it to the oven. Now my oven has been preheating this whole time at 500 degrees. So I kept the heat on the stove top, and now it's oven time. Next rule of 3, 3 minutes in the oven. Flip it, 3 more minutes in the oven. So the oven this whole time has been preheating at 500 degrees. So we're going to make sure that our oven is accessible. Fire prevention, safety, and we're going to take our cast iron, meat in tow, and pop it in the oven. So we're going to set our timer for 3 minutes. And then we're going to flip, do another 3 minutes, and then we'll take it out. Alright, it's been 3 minutes, time to flip. So I'll just open up the oven there, and you can see the steak is finishing up nicely. We're going to take it, we're going to flip it, 3 more minutes. Now this tried and true method has worked to end up with a perfectly medium steak. Now if you want your steak done a little bit more, I'd add about a minute on each side, so it would be 4 and 4. If you want it medium rare, I do 2 and 2, so on and so forth. 3 and 3, perfect medium steak. Time's up, 3 minutes, steak's done cooking, so we're gonna cut off the oven, safety, and we're gonna take out the cast iron. Make sure you don't trip on any dogs. Put it in a safe spot. You want to take a look at that steak there? Now, we're not going to serve it right away. This is the final rule of 3. The final little part of the equation. We're going to put it on a cool surface, and we're going to loosely cover it. And we're going to let it rest. Now, any meat connoisseur knows that this is very important, because if you just take it off of the heat and you slice right into it, all the juices are going to come spilling out and you're going to dry out your meat. So by doing this, you're locking in the flavor, you're keeping the juices from flowing out, and they're just going to lock in and keep that meat nice and tender, flavorful, and wonderful. So 3 minutes resting, and we'll check back on it. So the steak's been resting for 3 minutes, and now the moment of truth. We're gonna cut into it and see what we got. There you go. Nice medium flank of meat. We'll just start slicing it so that it's ready to be served. You see that it's still nice and pink on the inside, but not too red, and definitely perfectly cooked. So there you have it. Rule of 3, 3 minutes preheat, 30-second direct sear, 3 minutes finished off in the oven at 500 degrees, 3 minutes resting, the cast iron, the oven, some wonderful seasoning, and a great cut of meat. Perfect steak, cooked to medium.